Hello, my name is Stephen Redman and welcome to Pastor's Library. This is the channel where we talk everything about theology books, books that might be relevant to a seminary course or a bachelor's or master's degree in theology or biblical studies, or simply books that might have piqued your interest. You might have seen them on your own pastor's bookshelf, or you are looking for books to help you with your home studies or studies with a Bible group, or just to help you in the church. If you like what we have to say, please give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Please subscribe and click on the bell because that helps the algorithm. It gets the message out further, and we really appreciate your support in these things. Today I want to talk about my favourite commentaries on the book of James. James has that quite unique letter in the New Testament, and it's to the best of our knowledge the only contribution James made to our New Testament, and it's very, very special, and it needs a little bit of tender loving care when approached by commentators. And I want to just show you now some of the ones that I have engaged with and some of the ones that I really, really, really like. Just to start with, I do normally mention the New Testament Theology series by Cambridge. This one is by Andrew Chester and Ralph Martin, and it's on James, Peter and Jude, and there are 62 pages on James. Now, this is a light overview. It was published in 1996. I think it could do with a review. I would say to you, I'm not sure I absolutely agree with some of the things that Andrew Chester says. For example, I think James has some significant things to say about faith, and Andrew doesn't seem to. But it may be helpful, and it's definitely worthwhile reading as an overview to the theology of the book. Interpretation are a very, very popular series of commentaries, and I think in the USA they're right up there in terms of popularity. Interpretation, I've got a 1995 copy which deals with 1st and 2nd Peter, James and Jude. It's written by the very good Phoebe Perkins. I do like her work, but there are only 57 pages in this book on James, and so it's lacking a little detail. It's interesting. 1995 tells you it's good for pastoral work, for leading a Bible group, but maybe coming to the end of its usefulness for academic quotations, but certainly not to be ignored. The New Interpreter's Bible Commentary, I throw this book at you quite regularly because it covers so many books of the Bible. This was published in 2015. This is, I think, volume 10, and it has 42 pages, the epistle to the James. So this is really quite thin. It is, however, written by Luke Timothy Johnson, who is quite profound, very prosaic, wonderful in his use of language. But just simply because he only had 42 pages, it's a bit lacking in detail. But we will come back to Luke Timothy Johnson later. Because it covers so many books of the New Testament, this volume is good value. But if you're looking for something with detail on James, not a good reason to buy it. The Abingdon commentary on the New Testament by C. Freeman Sleeper. This is a 1998 volume. In fact, I think one thing you're going to see a lot today is that a lot of my commentaries are getting near the 30 years of age now. Not because I've had them for 30 years necessarily, but because they haven't been renewed. And I think there's some of these that could really do with a spot of renewal. But this is academic. It's very gentle. When I read this, I thought, wow, this is so easy to engage with. This defines accessibility. It's a very good commentary. 152 pages in 1998. That is certainly worth considering, particularly if you got it used at a very low cost. That would certainly be worth. Paideia, they have James and Jude, which is written by John Painter for James, David De Silva for Jude. 170 pages in 2012. James. It's academic. It's very worthwhile. This has a real theological overview as well as exposition, and I have to say I engaged with this quite well. Not my absolute tops by any means, but this is a worthwhile product. This is the New Cambridge Bible Commentary by William Brosend. This was published in 2004, and 165 of its pages focusing on James. The rest of it is on Jude. It's not deterministic in its thinking. I found its overview, the spread of thought was helpful. This is a good book. And I have to say, not all of these New Cambridge Bible commentaries are as good. So this is a worthwhile product. Now, I just had a reread of this to sort of help me remind myself about this. This is the NIVAC, the New International Version Application Commentary by David Nystrom. I couldn't really remember this, but when I opened the pages, I just found I had to read 20 or 30 pages without putting it down because it so engaged me. Remember, this commentary series, it's all about the application. It's all about making the word on the page connect with real life. It's great for preachers, great for pastors, great for Bible group leaders. This again is a 1997 commentary, but it's got 338 pages and it's packed with examples and real connections to life. I just found this incredible. And I've made a note to myself to go back and read it all the way through again because this is really a giveaway. It is a brilliant commentary and it will really help you connect the words on the page with real life and the real church. I can't recommend that enough. Bearing in mind 1997, you don't want to be quoting this in 3 years' time for a degree, but it's okay now. Now, I'm quite fond of the Reading the New Testament series. This one is called Reading Hebrew and James. It's by Mary E. Isaacs, and this was published in 2002, and it's got 90 pages for James. So this book is predominantly about Hebrews, but it has got 90 pages for James. Because this is good on Hebrews, I think this is also a good book for your bookshelf. It has a literary and theological emphasis. So this is not quite so much about exposition as it is about the text and as it is about the theology behind the text. And I have to say, I found this book very helpful. What she has to say about James's pitch is really excellent. Particularly if you can pick one up on the low side of cost, that's a good commentary. With this one, I'm on to the ones that are more important to me. This is the New Beacon Bible Commentary. It's written by C. Gina Orgelis Serraro. And if you're listening, I just want to apologise for demolishing your name, because I'm sure that's nothing like what it's supposed to be. This is 189 pages and it was published in 2010. And like all the Beacon commentary series, this is highly accessible, it's well designed, the layout is brilliant, the text is easy to read on the page, it looks good, and yet it has lots and lots of detail. It's an academic commentary. It's a genuine good buy, and as a general rule of thumb, I love this range of commentaries. This one is certainly not a bad one, and I would say to you it offers a lot, particularly as this is definitely not an expensive book. And you've got to just weigh that up here. Not everyone has a decent budget for books. Not everyone has got maybe the years to collect them that I've had. But this is definitely a worthwhile buy. We're coming in now to perhaps some more interest. I mentioned Luke Timothy Johnson. Now, he has done a 412-page commentary in 1995, which is called The Letter of James, and it's part of the Anchor Yale Bible Commentary series. Now, this is a true academic commentary. Compared to the one that we talked about a few minutes ago, which had 40 pages, this has got 10 pages for every one, and it's therefore much more detailed. This is probably one of the most detailed commentaries on the book of James. It's full of Johnson's rich and meaningful language. It's inspiring and engaging. It's also academic enough to make your mind wander off in the way that he is leading. And I would suggest to you there's a lot you will get out of this. I picked this up quite reasonably, and I would suggest to you, if you can get a good copy, this is definitely worth having. It's true to say that Luke Timothy Johnson is one of the great commentators of our age. Here's another 1997 commentary, this time with 270 pages. It's the NAC, the New American Commentary series. This will slowly be replaced with the Christian Standard Commentary series. They're both the same publisher, they're just updated. This is based on the NIV, the new ones are based on the CSB. But this is truly a great, refreshing academic work. Even though it's getting older, I would say this is a really good fallback commentary on the book of James. It's written by a man called Kurt Richardson. I don't think I've ever read anything else by him, but this is definitely a useful academic commentary. No one is going to critique you for quoting from this, not at least for another 3 years. It's an excellent book. Now, this one is the Baker Exegetical Commentary on the New Testament. It's written by Dan McCartney. I don't think he's related to Paul, but this was published in 2009. This is 335 pages. I would say this is leaning towards technical rather than just academic. There's a lot of the Greek in here as well. For the amount of detail, it's better than probably anything we've looked at so far, other than the Anchor Vale one. But this leans towards determinism, but it's not overwhelmingly so. Sometimes you read a commentary and it's so in your face with its deterministic view that it's hard to focus on the rest of the text. This is not like that. It just has a little bit of that leaning. And I would say to you that this is definitely a worthwhile commentary if you can just sidestep the determinism. This one is the New International Greek Testament Commentary by Peter Davids. Now, this is also a 1982 commentary, so this really is a little bit past quotation, but it still has something to offer. It's about 225 pages, but I have to say this is a bit deterministic as well, which I was a little bit surprised. But again, it's not so that you can't sidestep some of the things that are said. So still worthwhile, but again, don't invest money in this if you are studying for a degree, because they're going to look at it and say, it's a bit too old to quote from now. Again, this is a too old to quote one from, but I'm going to mention it because it's worthwhile mentioning it. This one is 1976, and it is by James Adamson, and it is 227 pages. Now, this is the last but one New International Commentary on the New Testament. We're going to come to the new one in a moment. But this deserves a mention because it's excellent. It covers a lot of detail. It has so much to offer. If you see one of these in a second bookshop for £10, $10 or something like that, buy it. It's a bargain. If someone's asking you £30, £40, $40 for it, don't bother, because you can buy the latest version for not much more, and the latest version is infinitely superior. But this is a bargain if you can get it cheap. Now, I'm up to my top 4 now, and this is where they get really good. This one is Craig Blomberg and Miriam Kamel. Now, this is the Zondervan Exegetical commentary on the New Testament. This is 2008, 280 pages, and I really want to wave this one under your face as being exceptional. This is really good. Now, the whole series are brilliant for their layout and their accessibility to the data on the page. This is really good. The footnotes are not too small. On every page they're there. There's a lot of use of tables. This is a great commentary. The author or the authors have an awful lot to say. Now, Miriam Kamel, I'd not come across her before, but Craig Blomberg is outstanding. And together they have produced an absolutely brilliant commentary on James here. It's technical stroke academic. It's non-deterministic. It's a very, very, very good commentary. I cannot recommend this enough. I would really, really rave about this commentary. It's excellent. This one is Ben Witherington III's offering. It's called Letters and Homilies for Jewish Christians, subtitled A Socio-Rhetorical Commentary on Hebrews, James and Jude. It's published in 2007. It's a total of 656 pages. 170 of those pages are given over to James. Now, in my top 4 commentaries, you might say 170 pages is not really enough, but it's the quality. These pages, written by a master, these pages will extend your knowledge and your engagement with the Epistle of James beyond anything else you've read up to now. This is truly amazing. And what he has to say about James and his perspective and his theology, if you like, his worldview, Witherington has really come up with something here. I cannot recommend this book enough, if for no other reason that you've also got Hebrews and Jude in here with James. It's a great value book. Okay, now my top 2. Now I have to say to you, it is hard to really put these as first and second, but we'll start with this one as second. This is the Word Biblical Commentary by Ralph Martin. Now, Ralph Martin is a brilliant commentator. He has written a number of works. This one is excellent. In my hand, actually, is the 1988 version, which is 240 pages. But there is now a 2015 version, which is 352 pages. Now, if you're buying this, please make sure that you're getting the 2015 version. The 2015 version has an immense more amount of detail. It has great more insight. Ralph Martin is brilliant, but you really want his 2015 work, because the 2015 one is like a fresh commentary. It really is that much different. It's not just a revision, it's really a new go. It's technical, it's truly technical, it's in depth. It probably is as good a work as you could find anywhere today on the book of James. And the 2015 version, 352 pages, this is an obvious choice, and in my book it's an absolute winner. I wouldn't dream of preaching on James without consulting Ralph Martin. This is a classic book. Now, I've said to you it's hard to pick between first and second. Martin is definitely the best technical commentary, but I'm going to go with this as first. This is the New International Commentary on the New Testament by Scott McKnight. It's called The Letter of James. This book has 497 pages and it was published in 2011. And it's academic but not technical. But this is so accessible. When you read this, you could think to yourself, I think I am reading a Scott McKnight commentary, even if you haven't seen the name on the book. It's so much in Scott McKnight's style. It's very, very welcoming and accessible, but he goes into immense levels of detail and he really does join up the dots. This book is great for seeing James in the overall picture and seeing the big picture that James is painting, and also seeing how the different chapters link together. I think this book is great. So, if I had to just grab two commentaries on James, I would grab McKnight and Martin's. And I think that ultimately they are the best. The Zondervan Exegetical with Craig Blomberg, I don't know how I could resist that. Ben Witherington, you can't turn Ben Witherington down. What I'm saying to you is, for me, these are the top four. But ultimately, if I had to just pick one, I suppose I'd go with Scott McKnight, because it's much more accessible than Martin's. And ultimately, I don't know where you would get four better books than my top four on James's epistle. I hope this helps you. I would remind you that these are my views. But if you like what I've said today, please give us a like on YouTube. And if you haven't done already, please subscribe and click on the bell. Clicking the bell will make sure you get to know when we release another episode. And subscribing will help us promote the channel on YouTube. Until next time, all I've got to say to you is bye!